Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the J Free 906 podcast. Tom and Seth here with you tonight. I hope you guys are doing well. Everything going well up there? Yeah.
I'm doing great. I'm the one guy in the Maritimes that doesn't have 6 feet of snow outside his front door. So
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I've been watching some of that. It's
Well,
pretty
lucky
crazy.
you.
Oh
it's
my gosh,
wild.
it's crazy.
It's wild. Yeah, they got
Yeah.
some places in Nova Scotia. They got 5 feet of snow in 3 days.
That's nuts. That sounds like Buffalo, New York on a
Oh,
Sunday, getting all the lake effect. That's crazy.
absolutely. Well, no, I think down in the Mahone Bay, Oak Island area, they got snow, but nothing like they got, say, from Halifax northward.
Yeah,
They
I
got-
saw
they
that
got-
when I saw
they got hammered.
the centimeters. I had to look it up, of course, and it said something like about a foot.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
they've got 150 centimeters in Cape Breton now, which would be northern Nova Scotia. So that's close to 5 feet. 100 centimeters is roughly a yard. It's about 39 inches or something like
That's
that.
crazy.
So,
That is just
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it's nuts.
Seth,
But
you don't have to
we
deal with
dodged the
that,
bullet.
fortunately, right? So yeah, that's good, right?
No, we got snow. I think I've seen it snow in San Antonio twice in my lifetime,
Wow.
and we shut down because we don't have any trucks that clear snow or put I don't even know if they put, is it salt? Is it some other thing that they put on the ground?
Some places
In Texas,
use
we
salt,
don't
yep.
know.
Sometimes it's brine water.
Yeah,
About 8
so
inches, but
yeah.
it's melting fast. That's Karen
Yeah,
Publico. There you go.
we shut down because
Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
better for everybody if Texans don't drive in snow.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, we get a little bit here in Western PA, so there you go. All right, well, thank you folks for being here with us tonight. We really appreciate your coming by. We are going to be talking about season 11, episode number 13, Tea Time, on the Curse of Oak Island tonight, continuing with the Curse of Oak Island series. And we do have a giveaway tonight. We're going to be doing that here in just a little bit. Let me show you a quick picture of what that will be. It's this baby right here. It's a little toy chest here. This little treasure chest. If I can get that to work. Okay. Why is that not working? Okay. Well, all right. My little pointer thingy is not working here for some reason. Bring it back. All right. So we got that little, and then we got I always have trouble figuring out Maravidi. Did I say that right? Maravidi? Close. Oh, Linda's going, yeah, you got to kind of got it.
Spanish coin.
And the funny part about this is it says on here, Spanish pirate era, 1600s genuine. So it's a pieces of 8. And then it says 1891. That's wrong. Linda said, don't go by that. Somebody wrote that on there and it's incorrect. It should be 1691. So there you go. So it is authentic. Yeah. So it's a piece of 8, and then there's a keychain down there and a little treasure chest. So that's really cool. So we're going to do that giveaway here in just a little while, and we'll talk about how you got to do it.
Imagine that coin with some corrosion on it, and it looks just like the picture you shared the other day.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Thinking the same thing. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully we'll get to see that said coin go up on the Curse of Oak Island. Oh yes,
thank you, Michelle.
Donated by Michelle down here. Yeah, thank you, Michelle, very, very much for that. That's how this all got started. People started giving us things to give away, and we're like, well, what are we going to do with this stuff? We might as well give it away to folks. So we started, handing out things. We also have a very, very special guest tonight. We'll bring her on, and here in just a few minutes. She's going to join us, and yeah, you guys are going to love this. Wonderful person, Jamie Kouba, is going to be here, so we'll bring her up in just a moment. But also, I just wanted to, I know, right? Woohoo! I love having celebrities on the show, so that'd be great. So they can come and share their insights with us and all that. So we're bringing her up here in just a minute. But I did want to say, if you want to help support the show, you can do so many different ways. Down in the description of the show, down there are some different ways. You can buy a hat. You can buy a t-shirt. There's some stuff like that at jfree906.com. I also have Venmo and Patreon. And thank you very much for my patrons. I really, really appreciate that. It does cost to do this, unfortunately. And so I really appreciate the support from everybody that does that. You can also do a super chat and things like that. So that's really cool. I appreciate it very much. So as we get started, we're going to do this right now. Let's bring up our very special guest. Please welcome Jamie Kouba. Jamie, how are you?
I am good. How are you guys?
Oh my gosh. I'm doing fantastic.
Doing awesome.
Better now.
Doing well. Doing better now. We got a special guest.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I'm a guest. I don't know how special I am.
Well,
To us,
Laird said,
you're special in our books, and everybody that watches the show, you're special.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
I think that Seth was actually, talking a little bit earlier about who his very special people on the island were. Davy Crockett. Oh my gosh! At the end of the season, Gary had a metal detector hit at the bottom of the garden shaft. Whatever became of that? Why aren't we detecting her again? Or did I miss something? You didn't miss anything. They haven't talked about it since. Don't really know. Unfortunately, we don't know.
And unfortunately, that doesn't mean they haven't done anything. It just means they haven't shown it to us.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
and who
think
knows?
the flooding of the garden shaft caused a lot of
Exactly.
plans to sort of be pushed to the
Yeah.
side for now, not
Yeah,
forever.
that's
Just
what I was
yeah.
going to say. Who knows
Yep.
with all the flooding? We're just now seeing them getting that in control. So maybe it'll be addressed. But
And too, I gotta say that Gary's metal detector is high end. It's not like mine back here you see in the corner. I've got it's above novice level one back here. But Kate, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hey, look, hey Jamie. There's Kate shouting out to you. But his is very sensitive, and it will pick up if there's a high enough concentration in the soils, even if it's just and we talk about how much Ian Spooner has talked about how much of the they pick up of the water content.
Particulates.
Yeah, the particulate in the water samples. It could very well pick up on that. We just don't know the answer to that yet, Davey. So there you go. That's what we have on that so far. So Jamie, tell us a little bit about Jamie and how did you get started with the Curse of Oak Island?
I am the luckiest girl in the world. So I've wanted to be an archaeologist my entire life. I ended up not going back to school seriously for it though until my daughter entered her freshman year of high school. And then I just sort of worked, got through my bachelor's degrees, immediately went and got my master's degree. But in the meantime, I was celebrating, I think it was my 32nd birthday. And my mom took me to Nova Scotia to do a tour on Oak Island. And it was amazing. And I got to meet Jack and I got to meet, the late Mr. Blankenship. And it was just this really great experience. And I remember saying to Mom how like I was so jealous of like Laird and how I wished I could meet him and work with him. And so she went behind my back and sent Laird a message on Facebook and said, "Hey, you got to meet my daughter. She might be your biggest fan." And so we got in touch with each other and we started talking and we became really close friends. He ended up helping me out on school projects and we talked about, different career paths. He helped kind of talk me off a few ledges during my master's program. And I was so lucky that I got to meet this great guy and become friends with him. And then, last year he was looking for some more people to work. And I literally said, "Listen, I have a trial and I am willing to travel."
There you go.
Wow. Yeah, and you mentioned something about a great guy, and he truly is. He's been on the show with us a few times, several times actually. And I got to meet him in person when I was up in Nova Scotia last June, and he truly is a great guy. I mean, I wish I could hang out with
very genuine. Yeah, very genuine.
Hanging
You got
out
to
with
meet
him
him
is probably my favorite part of him being my boss is like, we'd go out to dinner or something with everybody and it was just like, I could just sit and relax and talk with these people. It was fantastic.
Yep, exactly. I know. I had that experience. I actually got to have dinner with several of them, and Tony and all them, and Tim and Alessandra Nadavari's husband, Tim. I got to meet him as well. I was, just wonderful, wonderful people, and some fans of the show, Linda and Kat, and all that. It was really a lot of fun. So when you got asked to come and join the team, I mean, did you have any idea where you were going to be working, or is just going to, hey, bring your trowel and we'll get you started? That was it.
Yeah,
huh?
that was pretty much it. I mean, I kind of had an idea, before I got there that I would be a lead and that I would have, people underneath me and of course Laird and Helen above me. But that was about it. Like, I didn't know if we'd be in the swamp or where we'd be. And My mom, I think, was trying to curse me because she kept saying, like, "You're gonna be in the swamp." I'm like, God, I hope not. I'm so not looking forward to the mud and the
Oh,
bugs.
yeah, the
And then,
smell.
yeah, I was sort of got thrown into lot 5, and it was just an incredible experience. So
Are
Lot
you
5 just kind of took a life of its own over the course of a year, didn't it?
really?
it absolutely did. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, that's
So,
one thing that and we have to be very careful tonight because,
Yes.
as all of you folks know, watching the podcast right now, we are only on episode 13. There's a lot of summer, a lot of digging, a lot of investigation still yet to come on the show for us. Jamie's already been there and done that. So, but we have to be very careful what we discuss tonight. We've warned her. We promised not to go there. So we'll talk about some of the things that we had seen on the show so far. But I tell you, like Tom said, Lot 5 has been this amazing place that, we have watched from this, what started off to be, taking the sign down and going in there and getting a few metal hits and pulling out a few things. And then we got some Roman coins and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, there's Alex and Laird, and they're over there measuring out this circular stone feature that, we're like, okay, what the heck is this thing? Well, actually, before that, it became the other site. I think you guys were calling it Site 2,
Site 2. Yeah.
which was right there by the tree. Gary got a metal hit, and they started digging around the roots of this tree. Next thing you know, it's an archaeology, it's a site that you guys are working. Now I know you're working mostly over on the what was a circular feature. That's your main. You're in charge of that one, right? Is that your
Yeah.
spot? Okay. And we've watched it now transform. We found out later that Danny Henniger came in and he said, "Oh, this was actually done. The circular stones was actually put there by Robert Young."
Yeah. No, I love Danny Henniger. He's just this wealth of knowledge. If you've never met the man,
I
swear
have.
he knows everything
Yeah,
that's
so
ever
have I, yeah.
happened in all of Nova Scotia.
Mhm.
And for him to come in and say, "Oh, I think I have pictures of this," like, it was incredible. Laird and I were like, "Really? Let's see it." It was really cool.
Yeah, and now it's taken on, like Tom said, it's taken on a life of its own. It's become this place that, you're finding things daily. It almost seems, I know to us it seems like daily. I know it's probably not that way. People have talked about, oh, we ought to have a special show about archaeology, and they're like, Laird's like, nah, you're not going to want that because a lot of days it's just scrape, sift, and nothing. Is that kind of how it goes, or
Yes and no. I mean, it's kind of funny. Well, it'll seem like we're kind of in a drought, or it's just like we dig, and nothing too exciting, and then all of a sudden we're just like, bam, in the middle of 15 things that we didn't expect. It just kind of happens like that.
Yeah.
But
so
I mean, Laird's right though. I mean, they shoot thousands of hours of film every week and put it into a 1-hour show, and you really only see a very small percentage of what any of us do on that island. But yeah, I'm glad I was there.
Go ahead, Seth. I think you had a question.
Oh no, I think she said what I was going to ask. So
okay, so I'll ask a couple of people sent me some questions here over the last couple of days. And Linda Simmons was asking, and I'll kind of keep this general enough so we don't get too specific. But already in the series or in the show so far, we've mentioned the fact that what you're digging up, or what you appear to be digging up on Lot 5, the structure seems to have been intentionally buried by someone or some group of people. How do you determine that when you're looking at a site like that you've determined that this has been, in fact, intentionally buried?
Yeah, so both my feature and Helen's feature that we were working on Lot 5, both appear to have been intentionally buried for one reason or another. The biggest giveaway for us is that the fill, the stuff that is literally filling the hole, is all from the same roughly time period. The rocks that are put in first have like these big spaces in between them, and then it's like filled with soil on top, almost as if like somebody dumped a bunch of rocks and then dumped a bunch of soil, and then sort of packed it down and said, okay, that's good enough.
Mm.
And you would think that if somebody was taking their time to very carefully bury something, maybe they would have packed it in a little bit better, made sure it was nice and level. This appeared on both of our sites to be very kind of haphazard. It was like, okay, let's get this covered up and get the heck out of here. So
Yeah, so
it was really intriguing.
Yeah, so it's not like it's just sort of natural forest buildup from leaves every year, that sort of thing. There's a definite sign to give it away.
No, once we get the first, sort of layer of duff off of the soil, we don't even see leaves down there. I mean, everything is just, it's oddly clean for being covered with dirt and stuff,
Yeah, I know that early in the season, I think actually this was last season at the end of season 10 when they first started exploring the this circular. Well, I keep saying that circular feature, even though it isn't. But when they started to open that up a little bit, we saw what looked like holes, like you just mentioned. There was areas where there were bigger rocks, but you could see underneath them a little bit. Where
there's these massive voids in between some of these rocks, and it was so strange to see that because, I mean, as an archaeologist, we're used to seeing ground disturbances, but I've never seen anything like that in my career, and I don't think I'm overstepping by saying I don't think Helen or Laird had either.
Wow.
Yeah, that spot has really turned out to be something, and we've seen so many wonderful things taken out of it so far in the season. Like I said, we're 13 episodes in, and I was a little disappointed that last night's episode didn't talk about Lot 5 at all. I was like,
yeah, that was crazy.
But we had to talk about the beads.
The beads, and that's where I was going with this. Now we've seen you found the one, and now there's two. And that's all we know about, two. But I mean, we got a little bit of a description on those, but I mean, that had to be, a pretty, it seems to me, at first I was like, oh, it's a bead. Yeah. Oh, okay. What does that mean? But now I'm finding out that they're actually something that was used for in trade and whatnot, I guess.
Yeah. So we use 1/4-inch size screens, which is very standard among most archaeologists. That's just what we tend to use. So sometimes small things like beads just get through there and you never even know that you lost them. So for me and Moya to find one each, we were both just like elated. Like, I'll bet at least 20 minutes of us doing happy dances was edited out entirely. Because it should have been in the show. I'm telling you, we're very good dancers.
I wish we would have seen that. That'd be great.
But it was so exciting. First of all, as an archaeologist, it used to be like, oh, look at that, we found beads. But then to get a good look at them, and I remember saying to Laird, like, do you think that's Phoenician? Because it was like I felt it in my gut. I was like, oh my God, I think that's Phoenician glass. And then to find out later that it was, it blows your mind. I mean, this is something that was just as good as currency, essentially. 500-600 years ago, and I'm holding it in my hand because I just dug it out of the dirt. Like it's just incredible.
Yeah, it must be kind of mind blowing when you see you got Venetian beads and Roman coins all being found within the same, 4-acre lot.
Yeah. I will say that as archaeologists, the first thing we want to do is answer every question. But the reality of being an archaeologist is we can't always answer every question, and that can be really frustrating. But it's also what keeps us going. So.
Right, the mystery, the story. Do you have like I'm a big birder, and we got lists, and there's certain birds that are lifers that you got to get. Archaeologists, y'all have like a list, and have you checked off like a lot of like, okay, this is my list of things I would love to find,
kind of like a bucket list,
hold in my hand.
I do think that, I think every archaeologist probably has at least 1 or 2 items that they're like, man, I just really want to find that. For me, mine was just like straight up my first projectile point. Like I just wanted to find a projectile point just in situ in the dirt where somebody dropped it thousands of years before. And I did that. So that was pretty good. And then Oak Island was really another bucket list for me, honestly. I'd been a fan of the show for years, and then, friends with Laird. And so, I was like, that's a big check mark on my bucket list.
One of the other questions that Renee asked us is, every now and then when you see archaeologists dig up something, they wrap it in aluminum foil.
Okay.
What?
So I actually didn't see that last night. I saw the question, but I didn't actually see that happening on the show. So I'm not entirely sure exactly what she's talking about. But typically, when we're wrapping things in tinfoil, it's because we're trying to preserve them for a C14 analysis. So that's usually what that's about.
Avoids any sort of contamination.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Monty asked a question here. How long was it between each bead found, time-wise?
3 days.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So they stretch it out, Yeah, and that's the thing about the show. They stretch things out and they'll pull something from later in the season, put it earlier, and vice versa.
Absolutely. Magic of editing. But they were actually in different parts of the structure that we were digging in. Initially, the soil that I found the bead from came over by what we were talking about might be a doorway area.
Yes.
And then the one that Moya found, that soil came from much further over where we expanded after Rick came in with the excavator and moved some stuff for us. So
would you say same layer, just different location?
Yeah, about same depth below surface. It was in that fill layer. So essentially you have this sort of layer cake, right? You have your basic barren soil that's never, we call it virgin soil, or subsoil, something that's never been touched. Then you have the soil and the structure itself and whatever's holding that together. And then on top of that, you have these stones, these huge stones that they threw in there. And then on top of that, you have this dirt matrix that's sort of mixed with artifacts and whatever else kind of got thrown in when they were covering it up. And 90% of the artifacts that we recovered were probably from that fill area.
Oh.
So when you find a bunch of little pieces of pottery, do the archaeologists try to put those all back together at some point in time, or do they just send them away, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's called refitting. It's one of Fiona Steele's favorite things to do, and she's really good at it. I don't have nearly as much patience as I need, as is required to put it together. But yeah, no, it can be really helpful. So one of the things that we do when we're analyzing the artifacts is we try and figure out how much of everything we have. And so if we can put vessels together, that gives us a better idea of, okay, we have 3 teapots as opposed to we have 4,000 pieces here,
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good point. Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
Please, you got to jump in, because if not, I'm going to come over with another one. But we've seen so many different really cool things come out of there so far. I mean, not only in Lot 5, but also in this area. In this general area of Lot 5 in this pit. You went around with this scanning device.
Yeah.
And you then showed, and I had to say, and I have to admit, I said, I don't know how Jamie ever sees this, because they showed this on TV. They showed this gray picture with little bumps on it, and she's like, and you're like, oh, okay, there's a rectangle right here, and I'm like, I'm not seeing it.
I didn't see it. I stared till my eyes went crossed, and I didn't see it.
Well, did you hear the part where they said that we sent it off to St. Mary's first?
Yeah.
So St. Mary's got back to us. They analyzed the data. I collected it. They analyzed it, and then we discussed, okay, this is what I'm seeing. This is I did have some experience prior to that using like GPR and electromagnetic and all that stuff, but I was by no means an expert, so it was good to have somebody from St. Mary's who really was an expert point out some of that for me. Some of the things were pretty easy to spot, but some of them were incredibly subtle, and I don't think I would have caught them personally.
Wow. Yeah, it was interesting to see that. And again, I was struggling trying to figure that out on my own, but and I know we're not going to talk about it, but I'm really hoping that we see this whole area uncovered at some point. It would really be cool. And I know that's going to take an awful long time when you've got 3 or 4 people in there with trowels, working this area, and you have to do it very meticulously. It's just going to take a long time to, excavate that entire area with, in that way. But I hope that we get to see much more. And I think the finds will just never stop as long as you're working in there. you know, and they've talked a lot about the FIPS, you know, and now how many of the things they're finding that you guys are finding kind of relate to the FIPS era, and some things actually tied to the, and this is where Emma comes in with the archaeometallurgist, comes in and looks at these metals and say, well, the samples that they sent us from the FIPS birthplace match this. And again, that blows me away because I don't know how she does it, but that's her area. But I mean, that's interesting to be able to tie that together like that. I mean,
you could have knocked me over with a feather when she gave me the results. And she told me that, you know, the first piece of metal, I think that we'd found it on like the very first day. Laird was actually the one that pulled it out of the ground. And when she told me that it matched the stuff from Fitt's birthplace, like I was shocked, because you hear all of these different theories, you know, both as a fan and as somebody working there. And I personally am a bit more of a scientist where I'm like, show me the proof. You know, I really don't want to hear any wild theories. I want to see the evidence. And for me, I mean, that was the evidence I needed to put a little bit of weight onto that theory and say, you know what, there might be something out there about this FIPS thing.
So take your scientist hat off for a second and put your fan hat on.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite theories?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so my very favorite theory is, in fact, the FIPS theory. I really see a lot more credence in that than I would say like the Templars or anything like that. That doesn't mean that like Masons and like former Templar, I guess, wouldn't be involved, but I don't know. There's something to FIPS. But my absolute favorite theory about the treasure is that it is a sentient being, and it actually moves every time you talk about it. So that's why we haven't found it yet, because every time it hears its name, it just gets up and moves.
There you go. Now we know why it's so elusive.
Yeah,
exactly. It makes all the sense in the world.
Yep. Yeah, that's so cool. And now we've seen that little I think it was you that actually found that what looked like a little ring.
Yeah.
And again, you know, we saw that on the show, but there wasn't really a lot of talk about, you know, what it could be or where it could be from. But, you know, that was an interesting find. But now the coin showed up. And last week we saw the coin found. And then this week we saw the analysis of that coin. Was there a happy dance when that coin came out?
Oh my gosh, of course. Anything that predates the discovery of the money pit gets a happy dance from anybody on the islands. You know, I mean, from, you know, cast all the way down to crew. Like, we are all excited. It's like, oh my gosh, it's pre-1795, you know. But yeah, no, that was really exciting. And the fact that it was a George III probably puts it into, you know, very comfortably into the 1770s. And like, okay, that's 20 years before the discovery of the money pit. That's pretty good.
Yeah, very, very good. That was amazing. I was glad to see that come out of there, because there's been a lot of buttons, and anything found is cool. And this is something that I love when Laird, you know, and I've had him on the show a few times and we've talked about this. He's very meticulous, and I love to use this analogy, but it's you know, he always says, you know, I'm not a treasure hunter, I'm an archaeologist.
Yep.
So what I do is I will rather than going into it saying, oh, I'm going to search for treasure, he goes, no, I'm going to search this area, and I'm going to let what I find tell the story of what this area was, what they were doing here, if anybody was doing anything here. I want to let the finds tell the story rather than going in with a preconceived notion. And I love that. That's exactly, you know, the way to look at doing all of this. And now you've got, like you said, you've got this FIPS thing going, and you know, sometimes you see production, you know, kind of pushing a narrative, if it's Templars or this and that. And I kind of wondered, I was really glad when you answered that question about, you know, your theory being, you know, you like the FIPS thing, because that tells me that it's not just the production company pushing this narrative. It's you guys really, you know, are finding things that back it up.
Yeah, no, I had some free time while I was up there, and I actually read Scott Clark's book.
Yes.
And I was like, you know, that's interesting, but I hadn't seen any results or any evidence that linked anything. So I just thought it was a really interesting theory. And then when we started getting the hits on the FIPS metal, it was like, okay, maybe I should put some more thought into this.
Mhm.
And so I mean, part of what we do as archaeologists is research. It's
Mhm.
we have to go back and make sure that we understand the context of the materials that we're finding.
Yeah,
And so I continued to do research, and I was like, wow, yeah, no, this theory's holding up. So
yeah.
Hmm.
It's like the old story.
hopefully something will
It's
come of
not
it.
no, it's not what you believe. It's not what you know. It's what you can prove.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
so it must drive you crazy when you're digging in lot 5 and you're digging into what we refer to as a circular structure. To all of the things that you've found so far are coming from fill. This
Yeah.
is all stuff that's been chucked in on the top.
Oh, it was
Like,
maddening.
mm,
And, every time we do a check-in with, Alex or Rick or Marty, it was always like, yeah, so we're getting all this cool stuff, but it's in the fill. And they would say, well, how old is the structure? And we'd say, we don't know yet, because we couldn't tell them until we were at the very bottom. And due a lot in part to the weather,
mhm.
it took us a long time to get to the very bottom.
You had a pretty
Yeah.
damn summer. Yeah, I would notice it almost every time you see a shot
Kouba.
of it on the show. You got the sub pump in there. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I
knowing it
love hate
was,
that thing.
mm,
yeah. Oh, bad. Yeah. Yeah. And it was, and talking to Tom from New Brunswick, he
mm,
knows, how much of a wet summer you guys had or
mm.
they had up there. And I noticed it when I was there. I mean, the flooding that happened right after I left in June, the flooding that was happening. And that's when all the water was pouring into the garden shaft and
Oh
everything.
yeah.
It was after I left. But yeah, that has to be maddening as an archaeologist because you're working in the soil. You
Yeah.
can't work when it's mud and filled with water
No.
and everything else. So yeah, that
Mhm.
has to really put a damper on things for
Yeah,
you.
there was several weeks where Helen couldn't get into her feature at all. There was just so much water, and there was something about the location of hers that it just became a little
Hmm.
pond,
Mm.
and we just couldn't get it dry enough to even work in.
Oh, that's sad. There was some pieces that were found that I seen people were calling it a chamber pot. It's a chamber pot. It's a chamber pot. And we were running. I said, can we ask if it was a teapot? The little
It
pieces.
was a chamber pot.
It was a chamber pot, really?
The one found in the swamp.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing because
Wow.
you look at it, had the little handle on it and
Mm.
everything. And it's like, wow,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah, no, I was really impressed with some of the fans, like, no pun intended, but putting that together so quickly.
yeah. Oh, we'd love to. And that's something that Tom and I and Seth do. When we're here on this show, we do a lot of speculating. We look at all the different things. We try to figure out what this stuff is, and we dig down into it a little deeper to try to
Yeah.
analyze these things and try to get
Yeah,
a handle on what that.
we make some very logical arguments. They're not always that sound, but they're logical.
Oh no, I've had a few that were way off. Yeah, way off. But hey, that's part of what I can do, but you can't. You can't do that. You have
Well,
to.
that's the thing though, on this show, when we're being filmed, they want us to talk our thoughts out loud.
Mm.
And that's not something that
Mhm.
we typically do as archaeologists. Usually we wait until all the data's in, and then we make our decision based on all of the information. But in the show, they want to hear what we're thinking. And so we're often wrong on the show. And it doesn't mean that we're
Mhm.
uneducated or we don't know the answer. It's just we didn't have all the information at that time.
Yeah.
Right.
You also don't have X-ray vision. That's up to Emma.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
So
She
what do
has
you?
all the wizard powers.
Oh, she does. And yeah, we kind of talked about her a little bit before the show started in the meeting there, but I mean, she's something, and I think you are too. I mean, you handle
Thank you.
yourself very, very well, very professionally out
Yeah.
there, doing your
Was it
thing. I'm very impressed. Very
so?
impressed.
Oh,
So
thank you.
was it hard to get used? Was it hard to get used to having those cameras stuck in your face all day long?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people commented on my voice being so high and obnoxious. And I was like, I was nervous every second that I was there. I was either nervous or I was so excited I forgot they were there. It was like
Yeah.
one or the other.
So now that you've been there and done it, how is the new fame and fortune of having almost 4 million people
Oh man.
watch over your shoulder every week?
Mhm.
It's super weird and
Mhm.
it's super wonderful. I am so blessed to have gotten this opportunity and to made such incredible friends and colleagues there. But it's also really weird. Like I cringe every time I see myself on TV. I'm like, oh no, I'm on again.
I cringe whenever I watch one of these podcasts later on and go, oh, geez, what did I say that for? But no, and commenting on that, there you were. And I again, I don't know how the production of all this works, but there you were. They had you come over to the interpretive center and come over and talk about, I forget what it was that you were talking about in there, but they had you come over and talk about a particular items that you guys had found. I mean, how was that? I mean, now it's not just, in there with your trowel and the things you're finding. You're standing there in the.
Yeah, that was probably the most nerve-wracking part. You brought up the magnetometer data. I had about 10 minutes to prepare for that presentation.
That's what it was. That's right. Yeah.
I had this stuff in my email. I just hadn't gotten a chance to read it because I've been working in the field all day. And they called me and they're like, hey, you need to get up here. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, you want me to do what? So I rush back and I'm wiping my face in the sink and I'm trying to read the papers at the same time. And but you just go with it.
You did a fantastic job. You really did.
Oh, thank you. Mm-hmm. I was really, really pleased with that episode and how the data was presented. I was really happy about it. So
yeah. So were we.
That's good to hear.
Okay, 2 more questions. One question is, if there is going to be a season 12, we have no idea, of course, if there is going to be a season 12, and if they ask Jamie to come back, will you?
I will absolutely try. I have been fortunate enough to get my other dream job because Oak Island was definitely a dream job, but my current job is kind of a dream job too. So yeah, if I can work it out, I will absolutely come back. Yeah.
Well, if you need someone to write you an excuse or whatever, we could.
Yeah, right.
Yes, absolutely. That was going to be my next question. So when you're not working on Oak Island, what do you do? I mean, I know you're archaeologist.
So
but
I am a laboratory manager and a principal investigator at a small firm here in New Jersey. We're called E2 Project Management. And yeah, I just do archaeology all day. Either I'm out in the field digging holes or I am in the lab cleaning artifacts and writing reports. So it's pretty great. It's literally everything I've ever wanted.
Wow, that's fantastic. And people always say, if you're doing what you love for a living, it's not a job.
It really isn't. I mean, I worked 10.5 hours today with a big smile on my face. Whatever. I love it. I don't care.
That's awesome. A lot of people are already chiming in saying, please come back. Please come back.
Oh, thank
Amy,
you
really
so much.
The show. We love what you bring to it. And we do. I mean, everybody, we all just really, really appreciate what you do. And, you got to keep Laird in line. I mean, you do. Right? So that's got to be the hardest.
Poor Laird. I had to laugh when I got there at the beginning of the season and we all had our first day meeting and it was like, oh, you poor man, you are surrounded by women. So for a little while we were kind of joking around that maybe we were Laird's harem, but then we're no, that's not a good look, So we're more like Charlie's Angels,
There you go.
Yeah, that's very true. So, all right.
With trowels instead of guns.
Yes, the trowels instead of guns. That's good. I like that. You guys will have to. We've seen Emma, Helen, and who was it? It was, oh gosh.
Was it Miriam?
Yeah, it was Miriam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes, that was such a cute picture.
You guys have to do something like that sometime. Yeah. That's going to be fun.
We actually wrote a song. We need to do something with that. I need somebody to produce the song that we wrote.
Oh, well, I know just the guy that can help you with that.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about that. We'll talk about that off the show. But yeah, I've got a guy. He did the song for my intro video.
Oh, nice.
He did all the musical parts of everything on it and wrote it himself. And everything. Yeah, he's really, really good. Yeah, his name is Jim Kilgard, and I'll hook you up with Jim. But yeah, River Song Archaeologist.
Oh my gosh, I love Doctor Who. My husband's a huge fan, and River Song is in fact my favorite character.
See, there you go. All right, well, I know you have a lot to do and you're very busy and you got to get up early and do other stuff, but I tell you honestly, Jamie, I'm going to ask you right now, I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you do us the honor of coming back on the show again sometime soon?
Oh my God, of course. I would love to. Thank you so much for inviting me.
All right. Well, it's been an honor to have you. It truly has. I just can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on the show. We love watching you on the show. We're going to get to see for, well, hopefully, what, about 11, 12 more episodes, so we'll get to see this.
At least.
And hopefully you can work it out so you can come back and join them again on the island.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to next week's show. I think everybody should go look at the write-up for next week's show. It looks very exciting.
Okay.
All right.
I'm on it.
Will do.
Yep. All right. Yeah. So yes, you and I we'll keep talking, and Linda, and I know you and Linda talk a lot. We'll get you back, and then maybe at that point we can talk about the new finds that you've done, but also we can discuss. We'll just have you hang out and just talk about the show with us. So
that sounds fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you so much, Jamie. I really appreciate it. Have yourself a great evening.
Thanks, Jamie.
Everybody, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Oh, that was fantastic, wasn't it? Man.
All right. So how are we going to top that, guys?
I don't know. I mean, we're supposed to jump into the
just
episode
be smart
now.
And then the viewership goes,
smart. Yeah, smart and say goodnight.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, she is wonderful. She truly is. And it's so fun to have folks like Jamie come on the show and work with us and talk to us about the things, because as she mentioned in there, there's hours and hours and hours and hours worth of video that's done.
Mm-hmm.
And we only get to see a very small portion of it. So I got to talk to her about doing that, the bloopers show too. We got to see some bloopers.
Blooper reel.
Yeah, the blooper reel at some point. So excuse me. All right. So let's jump into some pictures here. I've got a few that we can get started with. Let's see here. All right. So we are going to continue on. We're going to be talking about episode number 13, Tea Time. And, we kind of wondered a little bit about what exactly was the thing that they saw to get them that name of Tea Time. But I think we finally got that.
I think we figured that one out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got that.
They should change the name, huh?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought maybe they were playing one of their fancy puns on words, and they found a Scottish golf ball from 1632 or something.
1632 golf ball. Wow, would that be a shot? One of those.
James McQuiston would have liked it that way, but
oh yeah, he would have. That'd have been right up his alley in time frame, right? So, the Curse of Oak Island, episode number 13, and I had to show this picture right here. This was at the end of the show, but I'm showing it at the beginning of the pictures because here we have all smiles.
Yep.
And that tells you right there what this particular episode brought to the table. Everybody's so happy about everything. And even Scott Barlow, look at him. And, how often do you see Scott Barlow smiling? Right. So, and Marty. But we're going to start off over in the war room. They had a meeting over there and they got all the guys together and it looked really somber. I mean, I'm looking at their faces when they started and I was like, are they okay? Is this bad news coming? What's going on here? I was afraid they were going to say, guys, we're done. We're wrapping up the season.
I was going to say, guess what, guys? A little extra something in your pay envelopes this week. Called a pink slip.
Called a pink slip. Sorry, we're going to call it. We're going to quit the season early. But really what it was, what they were really talking about mostly was about the caissons. We heard them mention earlier on that they were talking about the caissons that were going to be, going into like Aladdin's cave and then maybe another one over by H8 area to get a look at things. And we kind of knew this already because we had Colin and Karen public cover and that taking pictures and stuff. We never saw the caissons ever show up out there. So we kind of knew it already, but no caissons going in, at least in season 11. Now we get to look forward to that for season 12. I hope, if there is a season 12.
There were two or three not so veiled references to next year.
Yes. Yes, I know. Well, and as I've said before, whether or not there are cameras on the island or not, that they'll keep doing what they're doing. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And I thought this was an interesting shot here. They're down there. They're working and shoring up things a little bit, I think. You had this picture too, didn't you, Tom? You were looking at this one.
Yep.
Yeah, it looked like they were. Yeah, go ahead, please.
If you look at what he's doing there right now, the gentleman on the left, look at the metal brackets they're putting on those timbers now to shore up the bottom part of that shaft. If you look at pictures from the top, 70 feet of that shaft, there are no brackets like that. So that's part of their construction technique now for that bottom part of the shaft that they're building new. or as a result of all the foam they pushed in or whatever. But they're definitely reinforcing the bottom portion of that shaft.
Yep.
Hmm.
I don't know why this is not working for me here. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, he's talking about this bracket right here, and then you see another one right here that they put in.
Yep.
Yeah, they're actually making it more sound and more stable by doing this. And you had all that water that was pressure pushing on the sides of that thing, and you can imagine. Remember that we saw that crack in that one beam.
It was bowed right out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's got to be a scary thing. These guys know what they're doing, no doubt about it. So we'll, we know that they're going to keep this all nice and safe. The interesting thing, getting back talking about the caissons, was when they showed this picture right here. Okay, so this we're assuming that this is at least 4 of their target spots for caissons for next year. 2 in Aladdin's Cave, and then 2 over by the chapel shaft, and the head and shaft, kind of cutting those 2 areas there. I think that one over there by H8, I think that's going to be very, very important.
Yep.
Now they were showing then now, and again, I'm going to make a speculation here. I have no idea, but that looks like, if you take that over here by F4, over here by F4, that right there is that circle there is showing the bottom of the Dunfield dig, which was 100 feet on the top and about 10 feet at the bottom. So I was looking at that going, that's about the same size as these circles. Completely guessing here, but I'm hoping, are we looking at a 10-foot caisson going in?
Well, he said 10-foot diameter caisson.
Oh, he did. Okay, I didn't catch that. Thank you.
Yeah, he said 10-foot diameter. Yep.
So that's
I went back and looked it up, and I went, okay, well, they're not talking about putting some small caisson down there that you use for a construction pylon. This is the full meal deal that Rock did last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now I know.
And they got.
Go ahead, please.
I was just saying, and they got almost nothing from those. I remember, I was expecting so much, and such a little amount of wood compared to other caissons made no sense to me.
Yeah. Yep. They were just in the wrong spots, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly the wrong spots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They did 4 all around, the one area there, and they completely missed it. They didn't get any of them. So yeah, it was a big dud, but and the money and we won't go into all that.
The plus side of that is now they know where not to look.
Exactly. There you go. Yep. And Aladdin's Cave has been proven to be very interesting, and again, revisiting that whole H8 thing. And I'll say again, if you haven't watched that little video that I kind of did a revisit on H8, and I'll link it here above, and you guys can check it out. This will be, I have to do it after the show here live, but I'll link that H8 video here for you guys. You can check it out. But it was just going back and looking at everything that was found in H8, and the interesting in that area. I think that is over in that area is where the money pit.
Yeah, and the other thing too, that you got to keep in mind, those caissons didn't go down past 180 feet.
Exactly.
So what's below 180 feet? Goodness knows.
Goodness knows. I just threw this picture in there because I just couldn't believe the spaghetti mess.
It's the spaghetti model now. They're going to do away with the hurricane maps and just call this the spaghetti model.
Spaghetti. I like that. I always picture little worms, which
yes,
kind of gross, I guess, to some people. But I always see little worms.
Oh, they're drilling, so it could be earthworms. It could be earthworms.
Right? There we go.
Yeah, they're all just worms in a pot, whatever. But yeah, I tried to zoom in on this thing. I was going to zoom in on it. I was going to try to show some, but you can't, you zoom in and I didn't get any better.
No, I tried to, and it just, no.
It's just a mess. It really is. But now we know, and we see this at the end of the episode, we see that they are actually drilling now. They've gotten down, and this was the plan to get another type of drill in here. And they were going to be able to go out. And I thought we had misspoken before. We were talking about the 40 feet out in every direction. And it actually is. And I thought, maybe it was only 20 and it's a circle, circumference. But no, it's 80 feet.
80 feet. Yeah. 80-foot diameter.
Yep. Zane said he tried to make heads or tails of that and zoom in on it, but it's just a mess. So yeah, 80 foot around, and they're going around. They when we saw them dig down, we're going to get that, or drill down straight down, and we're going to get that here in just a little bit. But
I got to figure out how close these holes that they're drilling now with choice are within that 80 feet, because the original plan was to go down to 95 or 100 feet, and if the drill program showed anything up, they were going to tunnel outwards.
Right. Right.
So would the caissons screw that up, for lack of a better term?
Wow, I don't know.
Depending how close these drill holes are, or how close these other sites are. Something to consider.
Yeah, most definitely. That's interesting.
Because it sounded like they couldn't be doing caissons and have those fellows underground at the same time.
Yeah, well, yeah, they said that the work area that they have, and I'm looking at this on top side, that the work area that they have has to do with they couldn't get a caisson in there with the crane and everything else going on, and I don't think you'd want to anyway. I don't know with that crane being up there and the weight and on it, and then the oscillator doing its job and pushing it. I don't know if you'd want to be underground working on this area over here while that's happening. I'd be
there'd be a lot going on, especially if something happened.
exactly. I'd be a little concerned about.
But the crane used roughly the same perch, didn't it, for both projects?
Yeah.
But still, you can't have the crane would have to be dedicated to whatever project's going on. You can't have it over on one site working another site, and then all of a sudden we need it urgently over on site two. You just couldn't do it.
Or get another one. Bring another one out. I can't imagine.
Then the island would probably tip.
Yeah. Or sink.
Yeah.
With all that weight on it. Well, we just dropped about 10 feet.
You wouldn't have to worry about getting down to 80 feet. 80 or 180 feet's coming up to you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I noticed on this picture here, it looked like they're beyond the. You see you see these little spots here, and I'll just show this real quick. Whoops, I'm clicking on the wrong one there. There we go. These right here, you see these little indentations where they're going to put the beams in. That tells me that they're down below where the hammer grab has its side of it, and then they have the stairs or the ladders side of it. Yeah. They're well below that. They'll be putting those sets in as they go, I think. And
that's full width. That's full width right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And you see the metal, and I'll get my stuff out of the way there, but you can see the metal right there of those shoes that they talked about going in. So they're hard at it getting down there, and I'm really happy. This is something I've been waiting for this all season long.
That's got to be some pretty hard ground down there. It's not just mud. Like he's using a jackhammer on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I showed that in the thumbnail picture tonight. Yeah, he's after it with the jackhammer for sure. All right, so let's see here. Let me jump down to the next set of pictures. Yeah, this is whoops. All right, now I just messed up. Okay. Oh, it closed on me. That's what happened. All right. So, okay. Yeah, here's just another quick look at the get this back over here. There's just a quick look at the guys working down there. If I can get that to come up, there we go. And they're putting those sets in. But yeah, this is the exciting part for me. I mean, I know that Lot 5 is exciting. There's a lot of really cool things going on. The swamp is becoming very exciting. And as we're going to jump over to the swamp as we go now. You know, this whole area, and people have talked about the fact that those, the areas that were off limits at one time because of the Mi'kmaq pottery that was found. Obviously, they've worked all that out because this is one of the areas where they were off limits to them for a little while. I'm glad it's finally come back around where they can actually.
I think all that permitting stuff's been resolved.
Yeah, I really think so too. And I'm glad because now, and again, I think this is a very important portion of what they're doing is looking out here. This stone road, and some people don't find this interesting, and that's why I was saying before there are two groups.
Who are those people?
Yeah, who are there's two groups of people that watch the show, maybe three if you want to say they're both. But you got the people who love the treasure; they're all about the treasure. They don't care about anything else, treasure. And then you got the people who want the history. And I'm kind of in both camps. I'd love to see them find treasure, but I'm really about this history that's going on here. Yeah. And I think this stone road is revealing some stuff. What do you guys?
I think a lot of people started off, send somebody down 10X with a dive suit on and get that treasure and let's get out of here.
Yep.
Now it's not that way. The pendulum has swung.
Yep. I agree. So you see Rick and Gary out there. Rick's got that shovel, and I got one of those. You got one, Tom. Tom has one. I have one now. It's an
They're
awesome
mean
shovel.
machines. Mean
Seriously.
machines.
That's a weapon. That thing is a weapon.
Okay.
Yeah, I got one for Christmas. Linda and Jan,
Very
and
cool.
it was given to me by Linda Simmons and Kat. Yeah, I gave that to me when I was. What's that? Yeah, it was for my birthday. Yeah, they gave it to me for my birthday. That thing is mean. That is a mean shovel right there for sure. Terry DeVoe had talked about how he thought, looking at an aerial shot, but he was speculating how he thought that the Stone Road actually went on out into the ocean, obviously before the man-made road or well, they were both man-made, but the current road that goes around the bottom of the swamp was there. How the old ramp, I guess we're looking at maybe it being, was kind of worked its way out into the ocean there.
Yeah, it could be a ramp or slipway out.
And he also mentioned the Portuguese and how that has come, multi-generational use of Oak Island.
Yeah, for sure.
But they keep finding more stones. And did not they say that it seemed to them like that it was actually starting to like a ramp? It was getting lower and lower as it was heading toward the water.
Had an incline to it, is what they said. Yeah,
an incline to it. Now, Robert from our over in Discord, Robert and I he was talking about, and I'm pretty sure it was Robert, but we were talking about the looking at the aerial views. This one here, you can't really see it in this one here, but there's an area that is right out here that right in this area here that you can see in a lot of different pictures that looks like it's a sandy area, and then it drops off a lot after that. So, you got this area just beyond this area here. It seems like it gets a lot deeper. The water all of a sudden becomes very blue because it's deeper water. You can actually see the levels here. You can't really, like I said, you can't really see it too well in this picture. So I think that goes along with this theory of this being a ramp, a boat ramp. Just like you would for launching a boat or bringing a boat up on there.
I mean, the preferred method of travel was by boat. I mean, roads were non-existent. So even if you were a Portuguese sailor in the 1500s, naturally you had to travel by boat. But anybody even up and down the coast, they traveled by boat. They didn't travel through the woods.
Exactly. And that's how you got out to Oak Island. So they start finding pottery. And again, what do you, and I want to get your thoughts on this from both you guys. They found all this pottery. We saw it last week. We saw it again this week. Lots of and different types of pottery, probably from different years. Why do you guys think there would be this much pottery in this one area?
I think it's a dump site.
You think so? What do you think, Seth?
I think that when they were loading off all the treasure that they deposited, that there's just so much that they didn't, they were just overflowing with china and luxury items that a few just broke off, and I don't know. I'm that's me being like an optimist. Tom's probably more likely. I think
everything was so squeaky clean. They didn't find this anyplace else. Remember, everybody always said, "What did they do with all the stuff that should have been left behind?"
Maybe this is from the ship that got burned in the swamp.
Could be.
I don't know.
The ship that got burned in the swamp.
You could,
like
be exactly right, because if they were using this pottery as a form of trade, it wouldn't just be one type, right? They'd be bringing container barrels of it, and if someone dropped a barrel over the side of a ship by mistake, crash, down it goes.
Yep. Timmy Raven, that's kind of what I was saying too. Maybe something that busted off because it was loading, like Seth just said. That's kind of what I was thinking. And Bill Burns says beach glass and pottery. Oh, it just went by. There it is. Washed up. It washes up all the time on the islands. But and you're very right. I mean, that's very true.
Yeah, all in one spot, seemingly in the same layer on top of this road. I think that's unique. I don't think we've seen that.
I do too.
In other parts of the beach.
Kind of along the lines of it as they were loading and unloading. I'm going to say unloading because I like that idea better. That some of this stuff fell and broke, and they just left it there. They weren't.
And if it was a beach glass, like Bill said, if it was a beach glass type product, and washing back and forth, it would be smoother, rounder. But again, on the other side of that coin is if it did wash up in there and then got covered by somebody, it's never going to get a chance to do that washing back and forth, and it's going to remain sharp edged.
Yeah, that's
Right.
very true.
And
That's
it could
very
be
true.
sharp edge because Billy just crushed it with a trowel. His trowel.
His trowel with the billy trowel. Yeah, he just smashed it with the billy trowel.
Mm.
Dump site of a ship cleanup. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, could very well have been. I agree with Tom. I would like to know the dates on that pottery. It was common here for people to throw their broken stuff in the swamp.
Yeah.
So maybe that's exactly what happened. I mean, it could simply be a trash site.
Yeah.
But
If you
boy,
didn't have a privy to throw it in, you threw it in a swamp. Get
I
rid
mean,
of
a
it.
swamp's a good place for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah. Diatrus was always tossed over, often in port. Oh, yeah,
I mean, they're beautiful pieces.
they are. I mean,
The dark and brown, black and brown ones seemed very interesting. I'm
Mhm.
always intrigued when Gary is stumped by something,
Mhm.
because he has a great swath of knowledge and experience, and he's usually got a guess. And I feel like on that one, he was kind of like, "Huh, I don't know." So
And they're
that's
different types.
intriguing.
They're different types of
Yeah.
pottery. They're not the same, which tells me
exactly.
they're different places of origin, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, you got the stuff that looks like Chinaware right here, and then you got the stuff that's brown earthenware
Mhm.
with the brown, and then on the edges, on the finished edge, it was black.
Black, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It's just
Mhm.
that's just crazy. Um, it just leaves me stumped as to why, and apparently them too. As to why. There's some closer looks at more of the
Oh.
Chinaware. I
Hmm.
mean, look at all that. There's 3 different styles in his hand right there. That's
Yep.
the part that gets me. If it was all about the same type of stuff, then I would say okay. But I mean, sure, a ship is going to have whatever it gets. They're going to
Mhm.
collect the stuff wherever they get it, and so and that leads me back to it all being part of from a ship.
Yeah.
Hmm. And yeah.
I don't know.
The brown colored piece I find really intriguing. Like the blue and the white, we've seen that a million times from England,
Hmm.
China, those places. But where could you ever recall seeing that type of brown striped pattern? To me, that's almost South American.
Oh.
Ah,
I was thinking I was going with like sub-Saharan Africa, Mediterranean,
Could be. Yep.
Morocco, maybe.
from more than one ship, Pete says. Gary should have
Yep.
done the tongue test. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, he should have.
But
That
again,
was something I was going to ask
these were
Jamie.
brought by the Portuguese, like they said, if these were brought by the Portuguese were traders in pottery.
Yeah.
So, and the Portuguese traveled the world. They were fantastic sailors, so they could very
Yep.
easily have stuff from all over the place.
We know the Portuguese was in the area. We know that.
Well ahead of the money pit.
Yeah, and Terry DeVoe was talking about the Portuguese very likely had built that road or that technique that they used. So
The Portuguese were here 200 years before the money pit. Over 200 years before the money pit.
yep.
That's a known fact. 1550, I think, is the earliest map I've seen.
And then the shoe leather. Now I'm going to go back to talking about how stuff like this is going to float. It's going to easily be blown in by water and storms and whatever, the waves coming in, but it was buried pretty deeply in there.
Mhm.
So if it did come in from a wave or whatever, from a shipwreck out further out somewhere, then it came in a long time ago because it was down below all this stuff. It came up in Billy's trowel.
Yep.
I mean,
Actually looks pretty well preserved, really, when you think about
it looks very well preserved.
Good old swamp.
Yeah.
Good old swamp. I mean, it might be smelly and nasty and have lots of bugs, but boy, it does preserve wood and artifacts very well, doesn't it?
Mhm.
But they weren't long scurrying that away to preserve it, were they?
No.
Rick wasn't long taking off and said, basically, Gary, you're on your own. I got to go get this to the
Yeah,
lab.
I'm taking this to the lab right now. So he did, yeah.
Mhm.
So hopefully we'll get to see more about this this little baby right here, and hopefully it'll help tell a story. Now, can they can date it, can't they?
Oh yeah, yep.
C14 dating on this thing. So
I would think, yeah.
I think an expert could probably even just look at the style and of it. It might because didn't they have that bit of leather boot that they found in the money pit?
Yep.
I don't think they did like
Mhm.
any sort of scanning. I mean,
No.
maybe they did, but I thought the
No.
expert looked at it
And just the
knew.
fact that, as Gary says, with the squared nails to hold the heel on, the old
Mhm.
cobbler and his
Right.
Yep. That's not Roosevelt's boot. No, it's not, Cat.
Is it a size 11, size 12? What was it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So again, what an interesting find. His foot got stuck in the mud, lost his boot, didn't go back after it.
Zane,
First
Bib's
shoe.
boot. I like
Yeah, I
that.
wonder what size Phipps wore. Or Belcher.
What's that? Belcher's boot. Yeah, it was probably Belcher.
The old double B. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting stuff, man. I'm telling you, can't wait. All right, let's do our giveaway. Let's have that thing. But yeah, this is the swamp. I tell you, they're getting closer and closer to having. I think they even teased it for next week's, talking about next week's show having even more answers from the swamp, right? Conclusive answers, I thought he said, or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
I didn't catch that wording.
I thought I heard something about, maybe I don't remember if it was in this in the description of last night's show or next week's show. So Dan B found an old shoe in a cove near or under that old wharf. Oh, wow. Yep. Oh man. All right, so we're going to do the giveaway, and I'm going to show, so if I can find that picture again. Maravidi. Oh, did I say it right?
Nailed it.
I nailed it that time. I nailed that heel on that shoe. All right, so we've got an actual. This was not found on Oak Island, but we found an actual, or got a actual. This is Michelle Tomlier. She donated these for us, and it is an actual 16th century or 1600s Pirish era piece of 8. And then there's a little keychain down there, and then there's a little treasure chest that it comes in so that it can be displayed in very nicely. I really wanted in on this one. Hopefully Christina got in on this one, so I would feel so bad. But yeah, so here we got. Now, to be eligible to win any of our giveaways, you must be a member of our Facebook group page. And I think I finally fixed it, folks. I had it wrong for so long. I had a link down below. I kept saying there's a link down in the description of our show for our Facebook group page. So you can click on that and become a member of our Facebook group. And it wasn't working. You had to copy and paste it. Well, I think I got it working now. You can click on it. It'll take you right there. You must be a member. And then Linda, who has just joined us. Hello, Linda. She will put out a post that says what our giveaway is. And all you have to do is comment to that post and say yes. And you are automatically entered to have a chance at winning this prize or that week's prize. And you must be present at the podcast here tonight to win it. So, and we'll give whoever's name comes up, we'll give them about a minute to say they're here. If not, we'll spin again until we have a winner. How you doing, Linda?
I'm good.
Jamie was awesome, wasn't she?
Well, I've continued to talk to Jamie. So
oh, that's what you were doing. Oh,
yes.
Okay. All right. She was wonderful. I can't wait to have her on again.
She was great, and she would love to come back again.
Yeah, she will. She will be back, folks, to give us, to entertain us some more, and to just sit around and just, shoot the bull with us and talk about
chat. You bet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and answer questions for anybody that has questions for us. So yeah. All right, you ready to do some spinning?
I'm ready.
All right, let's put you in solo layout, and we'll get this done. All right.
Wait,
that's never good.
never good to start off with.
Sorry.
Unless you're working on lot 5 and you're sifting things.
Yes, if you're sifting and
If I'm sifting, no, I'm not sifting. I'm just dropping. Okay, here we go.
All right. Hey, I saw John Edwards' name go by. John, you didn't try to get in on this, did you? Darlene Barkhouse.
Darlene Barkhouse. Cool.
All right. Wow.
Darlene, are you here?
Are you here, Darlene? We'll give you about a minute to say you're here, and if not, you're going to lose out, and we're going to spin again. She was here. Renee said she was here.
She was earlier.
Oh, there she is. All right. Fantastic. All right. Linda, tell her what she has to do. I think she
All
probably
right.
knows.
Yeah, I don't remember if I have Darlene's address or not. So if you will just send me a message with your address, I'll get this out in the mail to you maybe Thursday, but for sure by Friday. It'll just take a while since you're in Canada.
All right. Congratulations.
At this time of year, we'd send it up by dog sled.
I know.
Especially in Nova Scotia right now.
All right. Do we know what we're giving away next week? Do we know what that is yet?
We are giving away a book by Jim McQuiston.
Ah, great. Jim McQuiston
And
book.
something else, and I can't remember what it was.
All right. Well, it'll be so make sure you check out our Facebook group and click on the link, and you can jump on there, and it'll be up in a picture shortly. Probably tomorrow, probably something like that.
I'll have it up first thing in the morning.
There you go. All right. Thank you so much, Linda. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome. See you guys.
All right. And we are going to continue on, and we're going to jump back over. I think now we just finished up with the swamp. Now we're going to the money pit, and this was one of my favorite parts of the show because we didn't get to see much about Lot 5. We didn't see anything. There was a
Lot 5 didn't make it. No.
Yeah, that was the first time all season that they didn't show anything about Lot 5. Right. So we get back over to the money pit. Now they're working on this one here. It's HI 6.75, which is I think what they said about 2 feet away from H8. So they're working over there, and again they're going along next to the chapel shaft because the chapel shaft was supposed to intersect the chapel vault. And I think they didn't go deep enough. So. But so that one's interesting to put in. But and here's a better picture. I grabbed this picture here just so you can get a better look at exactly where it is. It's outside the Dunfield dig because Dunfield was so certain that he knew what this circle right here is the Dunfield dig, and of course you were right outside here. And again, down below there is dig that garden shaft. All right, Nick. Well, thank you. Appreciate that very much. So I think that H8 area, I think that's where the chapel vault, I think, is an important place. That's where the muon technology showed that there was some sort of a cavity down there. It was a lower density cavity, but they found a space down there. And again, that muon, the muon shows it like a block. It shows this weird looking blob of a cavity, but then there was like a block in it. I don't think that block necessarily means that it was a vault. I just think that was a part of the technology, the data coming out that way.
Could be, yeah.
Not really sure, but I didn't think it was really going to be an actual showing an actual box down there or something like that.
Looking at it from this view, because I feel like with Aladdin's Cave and now with H8, the garden shaft and the tunnel under the garden shaft, I feel like my attention keeps getting pulled to different areas. So the baby blob is where the scientists are, like Ian and I forget the other scientists, are saying the gold content is coming from. Yet we have Aladdin's Cave, which didn't they measure and say that there's like wood, and they know there's wood and other stuff down there. And then H8, there's potentially the vault. So do you guys think there's treasure in each of these locations? Do you think, and also, are all of these locations connected by a tunnel? Because maybe a circular, I don't know. But
I think they are connected. I think they are.
There's so many sites of interest, and they're all over the money pit area.
Right. I think they are.
I'm with you. I think they are connected too.
Yeah. If you look at and we're going to have, and I want to mention that too, is that we are going to have on the 15th, that would be a week from tomorrow, a week from Thursday, we are going to have Jeremy Church on. He's with the Panther Geoscience. They're the ones that did the seismic study. Eagle, what was that other name that they had for Canada? It was Eagle. I can't remember now.
I have it on my notes in front of me.
Yeah, but anyway, he's going to be on the show with us on next Thursday night. They're the ones that did the seismic. They're the ones that had all that data showing these natural or cavities and things like that underneath the money pit and the tunnel. There's the ones that showed that box, that like 12 by 12 box in their technology, and it was showing it, which I believe it was showing it like right down, and then it was like right here. That box was somewhere in that area. He's going to be on. He's going to talk about all this. He's got some 3D video to show us. He's got some pictures to show us. Zane, you and I are going to have a fun time with him when he gets on here. He's going to have some things he's going to share with us as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But I think that I think they are all connected to go along with what you were saying there, Seth. And I think there is. I still kind of go along with the offset chamber. If the chapel vault is down there, I still think there's an offset chamber, and I think that offset chamber may be over here where the baby blob is.
That's why I want them to just get in these tunnels and what they're doing to the garden shaft, do that to the tunnels, and then follow wherever the tunnels go. Caissons are cool if they know for sure we're pulling up gold from one of these smaller drill operations, but they haven't yet. So I was glad when they said they weren't going to do the caissons, because I feel like, okay, well, so far it's been.
I would love to see them tunnel out for anything they can find with that garden shaft drill program. I'd love to see them try a tunnel just for the sake of good TV, if nothing else.
Yeah.
But when you get down to that 170 foot level, they don't have time and money, I don't think, to start putting shafts and tunnels down to 170 feet.
No, I believe you're right. I agree with you on that. But I really would. I'd love to see them tunnel horizontally out of the. But if they now and again, I'm going to go back to that where I was talking about this drill right here. Now they're down at the bottom down there. The guys are working down there and they're drilling. The very first, at least what it looked to be the very first drill that they put in, it went straight down and it hit wood. It hit started 7 feet? I think they said it was 7 feet.
Yeah, it wasn't far.
It wasn't very far. No.
I think it was 7 feet down, and they hit wood. I don't see it in the notes here, but I thought that's what they said. And there's the guys down there drilling. And that, now that that's the tunnel, to me, that has to be the tunnel that they've been chasing. It goes underneath the garden shaft. And then it also extends over on the other side of the garden shaft up by where the crane sits. It also extends over to the baby blob area where all the high concentration of the silver and gold in the water is. Maybe that baby blob area is I was thinking that maybe is a lower area, a little bit lower.
Yeah, could be.
And that would be more where the sediment would be. I don't know. I don't know.
I left out Scott just wanted to start digging.
Yeah.
Marty said, no, well, wait, now let's just do another drill to figure out what direction this thing is going in, right?
I'm with you. Start digging. But
Start
they can get down there, if they can get down into that, and they're going to try, clean all that mud that's off, get into that tunnel. Now we know it's probably flooded, so they're going. What they have to do there, I have no idea. To get the water sucked out of there, or what they've got to do.
They'll know quick enough, because if they drilled a couple of test holes through that, they'll know quick enough if there's any water going to come out.
There wasn't water shooting up out of that hole. When they pulled that drill back and got that core sample out of it, I'm surprised there wasn't water shooting up out of that hole.
Do we know that core sample was all the way through?
No. We do not know.
What they pulled up in that core sample section, that core looked pretty full.
Yeah. So maybe they didn't punch through.
They may not have gone.
Or they did, and nothing else stuck to it.
Right. Yeah.
No, you think there'd be mud or silt or something, right?
Yeah. Pretty sure that we're on something. That's what I loved seeing that. Pretty sure that we're on something.
They would know, because they'd have to apply more pressure to the drill to make it move, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And they're going to hear it. You're going to hear the difference in the sound of it when it's drilling through dirt versus now starting to drill through wood. You're going to hear that sound.
Those fellows would know for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They could tell just by the way the drill's vibrating, probably.
Yeah. Absolutely. And let's see. And here's that one little picture here that I really love too. too. And we hit wood.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny how nobody said great, more wood.
Yeah, I know, right?
They were all pretty happy to hear it.
We were very happy to hear it. I was very happy to hear it. This is the one time where I'm really happy to see him hit wood. This is just the artist rendition. Look at this, what they may have hit, what we think has happened. They did the drill straight down, and we think that they hit the top of the tunnel that's running underneath. Now, he also mentioned he wanted to get over in the corner because they went pretty much right in the middle, I think. And now they want to move over and hit that northeast corner and drill down in there, as Tom just mentioned. I wanted to get that dirt. Let's get down there. Let's get the rest of that dirt and stuff out of there. Let's get down and clean the top of that off, and then get in it, and then start going. See if you can go right and left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Okay. All right. But let's see here. Whoops, clicking on the wrong one. So that's what it looks like is what they're doing right there. And there's that wood sample. And like Tom said, it looks like it was always all the way down to the bottom. So they may not have gone all the way through it. And they may hit it. They may have hit an upright. They may have hit a post.
Mm-hmm.
Or a really thick beam or a double beam or whatever. It may not have gone into, because there was no water come shooting up out of that hole, which I was expecting to see. So it may have
is that one?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Is that one solid piece or with notches in it from the drill, or are those separate, like where the notches are, those separate pieces of wood?
I don't know. They were pushing it apart. Because they were like it, like you can see right here. They were
layers
like
of boards,
stacks,
layers.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if it was, because I know they, like a 7-foot beam, and I thought, okay, well, if they're on one, would it just be a solid, almost like chunk of cork, or is
Because
it layers from the?
If you look just down, if you're going from left to right on the screen, you can see like a black line that goes around there too. So
I see that now. Yeah.
Yep. So it could be they split the wood, or it could be there's two pieces of wood there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's multiple pieces of wood there, in my opinion. They didn't say anything about the wood grain going in a different direction. That's where you hit like a roof beam going this way, and then an upright going that way.
Yeah,
and you get those two different directions of the.
I was just thinking it was just stacked timbers.
Yeah, very well could have been stacked timbers, like down a wall or something.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is, to me, and I go back to this saying they found wood down there.
It's where it's supposed to be.
That's exactly where it was supposed to be.
I think that's what they're happy about most.
Yeah, I think so too.
Finding wood would not be, unique. Finding wood where it's supposed to be, and in the thickness and depth that it's supposed to be, is newsworthy.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's my take on it too. That's what I was very happy to see that, and I've been working on it. I've been waiting for this all season long, and then we got delayed for 5 weeks, which was like.
And based on those smiles, I'd say they hit what they wanted to hit.
Yep, exactly right. All right. I tell you what, more to come on the garden shaft. That's my big area. I can't wait. I just want them to get in there so badly and then do whatever they got to do. Dumas Limited, Contracting Limited, get in there and do what you got to do so we can start putting boots under the ground and see what's down in that and start walk. Wouldn't it be something to see them be able to walk those tunnels? Oh, Truth Seeker at J Free and panel. Thanks for the hours of content and all the work it took to produce it. You and Linda, you are the best. Thank you so much, Truth Seeker. I appreciate that very much. I tell you what, these guys are absolutely wonderful. Couldn't do it without them. And Linda and Jan doing the synopsis and all the work.
Oh my God, Jan.
There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to put this thing together every week. And I value these people so very much. That's why they get paid so much.
Hello, just turned on. Hello.
What did he say,
We get-
Kate? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's super enjoyable, and the chat makes it super fun too. I learn stuff. I watched the show 3, 4 times to prepare now, and I
Mhm.
still am constantly missing stuff that you guys catch and the chat catches, and
I know.
I,
Me
I'm
too.
so humbled and honored to just get to be a part of this group.
It's
So
fun. To me,
it's
it's a
fun.
fantastic. For me, it's an amazing hobby. Right.
It really
Mhm.
is.
I'm
It,
from the area, so it's historically of interest to me.
Mhm.
The fact that it's become a worldwide phenomenon is a plus. But
Mhm.
the people that I've been able to meet and see, it's just been like it's amazing.
It is. It truly is. And I couldn't do it without them. I really couldn't. I mean, I could sit up here and talk and blabber on for an hour and a half or whatever, but I tell you what, it would not have the content that it does without these two gentlemen right here and Jamie coming on and people like Jamie and then Linda and everybody doing their job. So anyway,
Mhm.
enough of that, but I really do appreciate them so very, very much. All right. So last part of the show, they jump over to the interpretive center. And this is where we get to see, they take a look at that coin that we were just talking to Jamie about earlier in the show. And there it is right there. And this thing is really, really cool. And Laird threw out a date on this thing of 1760 to 1820. The
Yep.
Georgius
Yep.
the third Rex.
George the Third. Yeah. Yeah.
George
And
III.
as we talked about last week, remember we said the first thing we thought when you saw that was a British halfpenny.
Mhm.
So it turns out, I guess it's maybe a British penny, but that's 1760 to 1820 date. That's you're running into that same time frame with the British loyalists coming up from the United States,
Yeah.
Okay.
escaping during the American Revolution in 1776
Mhm.
and onward. There was a mass exodus of people from the United States that were loyal to the British Crown, known as British loyalists, and here in St. John and New Brunswick and all along the south shore of Nova Scotia is where they landed.
Mhm.
That's where they went.
So that mean it was the British that covered up the structure on Lot 5?
Oh, we don't know. We just know that, talking to Jamie, that it's fill. So somebody brought fill from somewheres and covered those structures. Where did it
Hmm.
come from on the island would be the next question.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Was it
exactly.
something they dug out of a hole someplace else, hauled down with an ox cart and threw in?
Yeah. If
Right.
there's some way to figure that out, I don't know, but you're right.
But this
Maybe,
stuff all came from someplace.
and you know what she said about that? It looked like it was being done very quickly. Makes total sense
Yeah.
when you think about the cavities and between the rocks and all of that. It was very quickly covered up. And why would you cover up your tracks? Why would you care? There had to be a reason why they cared about
And
covering.
and why would you leave 2 beads if, just a couple could buy something as valuable as a beaver pelt? To me, it makes sense why items like that were
Yeah, they would not.
seemingly left.
Yeah.
I mean, we call it a half penny, or a penny, but back in the day,
Yeah,
that was serious money. A penny bought you
yeah.
things.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. Just a quick shot. Here it is. How this thing is taking more shape. The guard or the lot 5, what we used to call the circular structure in lot 5, taking more shape. And there's those beads.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to hear the story about how those things were made. I had no idea, but they were talking about the mass production of the beads.
Hmm.
And I thought, okay, I'm thinking, oh boy, somebody down there making. I had no idea they were stringing it out like taffy and cutting
Yep.
it.
Yeah, you pull it out, cut it.
They put the different color rods together or whatever, and they heat it and roll it, and then
There's a really good show
you
called
can-
Blown Away on Netflix. It's like a glass blowing competition show. They do that technique a lot.
Yeah. Oh, Zig just mentioned. He just said it. He's just talking about the very
Yeah,
same thing.
see, me and Zig, we're on the same page a lot. I'm glad to say.
Yep. There you go. But yeah. So, and it was, and that's that's what kind of gets me about this. I love sometimes when the show's going on and they go back and they talk about Phipps again and see his picture again and again. You're like, I've seen it over time. I don't need to see it again. But when we get little things like this here, where we get a little lesson, I really like to get these little lessons, to tell us, because I had no idea how they went about, making these things. And then you see I got one more picture of that here. When we see them stretching these things out like that, forming the cane. and then sorting the canes and then shaking out the sand. I mean, it's really cool to see that mass production and Venetian glass.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were valuable, traded like a precious stones would be.
Trade beads. Oh yeah.
A couple of them being worth a beaver pelt. I mean, come on,
Yep. I mean, the beaver fur trade here when Canada was first being settled was huge. Hudson's Bay Trading Company, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, the fur trade was huge. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like a taffy pull. That's what I said. like pulling taffy. Yeah, exactly. And the dates that they put on these things. The method was developed in Venice, Italy in 1470 AD, and the beads were used for decoration in all forms of barter currency. Laird suggests having an expert look at both beads they found on lot 5, and that's exactly what they did. Oh, this picture got put in the wrong place there, but it was looking at, this is one of the pitfalls. I mean, I can't believe this doesn't happen more.
Yeah, you
saw that picture I showed. This was supposed to be back there with that other picture. I missed it. But when you were looking at that spaghetti mess of all the drill program in the money pit, all of those, and a lot of them still have the PVC. They pull out the casing and they put the PVC down there. And I can't believe this doesn't happen more often.
Yeah.
Maybe it does and they don't show us, but this is the first time I've ever seen them dig up old PVC pipe from another casing, and hopefully it wasn't. They think it might have been K6 or something. Relatively.
But then you have who's it, Marty, that said it's nothing for those things to walk 5 or 6 feet.
I can't believe that. I mean, I do believe it. But it's
I believe it, but it's still interesting to know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, Coach. That's what I was thinking too. Maybe it does happen more, and they just don't show us. But that's the end of that hole. I mean, you got to stop right there and move, because all you're going to do is just now you're going to follow that other one and be digging that PVC pipe out of there the whole way.
Yeah, the other thing too is we don't know where that PCB pipe started and where it wound up. How far did it walk?
Exactly. Yep. And you might be following that same path now, because that's the path of least resistance, maybe.
Yep.
Holy Rhino said ancient PVC. Could it mean they have found a clue to the ancient to the treasure in the money pit?
It's Venetian
PVC.
It's the right color.
Yeah, it was, right? They just didn't get it pulled out. All right, we jump over to Halifax, Nova Scotia. The guys make a trip over there. Beautiful town. Got to see it myself. And then they went out in this guy's workshop in the back. And I need to get his name because I forgot his name already. Philip Doucette. There it is. Glass bead expert. Now, wouldn't that be something to be a glass bead expert? I mean, you think about it. If something that was that important back then, there has to be somebody that knows all about them. And there he is.
Yep.
And somebody that's local. I mean, Halifax isn't that far away. So you got somebody that's local that knows all about these things. And he was able to shed some light on these particular ones. And there they are again, the 2 beads. And again, done like taffy. But you talk about these things. I'm going to read a little bit of the synopsis here that Jan did for us. They were drawn. He said they were drawn. The lines were very straight from being pulled. And these were probably part of that same pull here. But you have some that are cut a little bit longer and rounded edges. How that comes out, I don't know. Maybe it's just a process of cutting them. But what got me right here, Jack asked about the time period of the beads and is told that the color and design indicates that the beads would be between 1500 and 1650. Now, that doesn't mean that's when they were on the island, that they showed up on the island. But 1500 and 1650. And they may not have shown up until, Phipps time frame.
Definitely. So, I mean, they would have been used in the fur trade, right? And the fur trade wasn't established until the British and the French were here.
Right.
So you're talking 1700s, 1600s, 1700s.
Yeah. So anytime after the 1650, they're still going to be in trade for a long time. I don't know exactly when they kind of maybe fell out of trade. I don't know when that ever happened.
Well, you can keep in mind, right? Because bringing over, a gold coin or money, currency of any type, if you're going to trade with the indigenous people who are providing you with the furs, money doesn't mean anything to them.
Right. Oh, exactly.
But those beads would be, I could pick pictures of the indigenous people, the Mi'kmaq, with their beaded clothes and, the the chiefs or whatever of the tribes, or the higher echelon of the tribes, in their beaded outfits, those beads would be a status symbol. Just be like having money in the bank.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's not going to have any value. Money, coinage to the natives and whatnot. They're not going to have any value at all to them. They don't care about that. But now beads is something they can use like that to show, like you said, the status symbol. Exactly right. Yeah, 5 or 6 beads would buy a beaver pelt, which was a hugely valued item in that area. Phillips tells them that the Portuguese would have barrels of beads that they would use for trade up and down the coast of North America.
Yep.
Barrels of them. So I don't know. Pretty interesting, isn't it? So, a couple of, we talked, and I had one more picture of the Lot 5 structure really starting to, again, it's hard to see, but you can see their work, where they're working. This area right here, you can really see that there was something happening right there for sure now, and the depth of it. And they haven't even gotten down to the bottom of it. They're still scraping off the cover that was on it.
Yeah. And it's no longer round.
Yeah, it's no longer round. So what do we call it now? The rectangular feature.
The longhouse.
The longhouse. I like that. I like that. The longhouse. Yeah.
The Lot 5 longhouse.
Lot 5 longhouse. All right. Next time on the Curse of Oak Island. I'm at the end of my pictures there. I got to jump down here. So we got another good episode coming. This was a good one. I was very happy with this particular episode. I know we had a couple of that, we kind of talk about being filler episodes a little bit, that maybe not quite as there you go. We could call them Jamie's feature and Helen's feature. That's good. Thank you, Linda. That's a very good way to look at it. Jamie's feature and Helen's feature. Next time on the Curse of Oak Island, next week, and here we are getting to that stone. This is that stone that I was talking about, that boulder. It's not a stone, it's a boulder. This boulder, and you heard Rick. What did Rick say about this? Did you hear what he said in that little
Nolan's Cross?
He said it was part of Nolan's Cross. I still think it's one of the anchors from Zena's map.
Could be.
And I think so too. It's pretty far to be part of the cross.
I agree. I think it is, unless it's
It would kind of screw up everybody's math on the cross, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. It would. Yes, it certainly would, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would put a few people out on left field on the Nolan's Cross. I think it's the southern anchor. There was 2 anchors. There was one on the other side of the island and one over here. And I think that's I don't know. And I could be wrong. Cat agrees with me.
I mean, what a great picture, because you see Jack there, and then you see the part of the grab, and that boulder is huge.
It's huge.
To be able to move these things around, to be able to create a road, I'm Jamie's feature, the money. These people were incredibly capable and very, very smart. Whoever did all this.
Yeah, and those stones that make up Nolan's Cross, by the way. And I was just looking at somebody's message over here. I said something about the rock fell off the road and did not get set for the cross. Maybe, Doug. We don't know. Honestly, we don't really know what it was for. But the size of this thing and the size of the stones that make up the boulders, I should say, that make up Nolan's Cross, they're huge. They are huge. And
it's a megalithic structure.
Yes, and to be able to move them around in that day and age was a monumental task. I don't even know.
I think you'd have to move them in the wintertime with oxen on sleds.
There you go. That's a good way. Yeah.
That's the only way I could see moving them.
On frozen ground.
Yeah.
But I can't. This thing here, when we saw the show that was done, the drilling down, it was done by Matty Blake before the season started, 1 week before the season started, or maybe it was just, but he was out there and he was standing there talking, and behind him you saw that sticking up out of the water. And I said, "Oh, that's got to be a huge boulder, and it has to mean something." I'm still going with one of the anchors on Zena's map, and if it is, that adds again one more thing that's validity to Zena's map.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People all love to say that it's all a big hoax. Zena's map was all a big hoax, and it's not real. It was a made-up drawing, but yet they keep finding things that prove it to be real. Things that whoever drew that would not have known because they didn't uncover them yet.
Correct.
So there is an anchor marked. Yeah, there is in the swamp on Zena's map. Yes, there is, Cat, and that's why I'm saying that's what it is. Yeah, I remember the 200-foot ship in the in the swamp. I don't know.
And the other thing too, when it comes to Zena's map, is if it's like every other cryptic thing or coded thing that these people did back in those days. Not everything on that map has to be 100% accurate. Right?
No.
Some of it could be a decoy. You just have to know what you're looking for.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, here's a picture of I don't know, a piece of metal that they find also. I guess this must have had to be a Gary hit. Let me look for that real quick, Kat. See, I should have one pretty handy. Unfortunately, I'm not on my same computer, so I'll have to dig a little bit. But I don't know this. And somebody, was it you that was showing a picture of a chest with the lock plate on the front? Is that you, Tom?
The lock plate for a skeleton key. Yeah.
Yeah, it almost looks like that because that shape. You look at that shape of that thing, and it does. This area right here does kind of look like it looks a little thick for that. Maybe I don't know.
Well, depends on how much
it would be
junk
inset in the
built
wood
up
a
on
little
it
bit too.
How much corrosion is on it? Yeah.
Yeah, very true. But yeah, that's
Or it could be the lock. I mean, some of those old paddle locks too, right? That were skeleton key were made of thick metal.
Oh, you're right. They were, and they have found a few locks in there in the swamp and all around on the island. They have found a few. Looking for
the shape seemed kind of like that to me. That's all.
It did. You're right. It definitely
could be
did.
Something totally different.
Rick has the key that Tom Nolan. Oh, he does. Remember, was that a folding key or something? That was
I think it was.
Looked kind of flimsy to me when I saw that key. I thought it looked a little thin. And also remember the chests. Remember those chests that they went over and looked at? Was that James Anderson's
chest? Yep. Anderson's sea chest. Yep.
Boy, is this? No, it's not it. What's this one here? Oh, yeah, it is. Well, I don't know if we can see it here very well. Let me pull this one up. I got a picture of it, but there's we overlaid this one over the island. A picture of the lots on the island. The anchor on what was that? The anchor on Zena's map is further away from this rock. But there is significant geometry that shows the anchor location about where the stone is, and I'm positive the image here it is right here. If you can see through this kind of here's where it says, I'm going to mark this out here. Here's where it says the anchors. Okay, and you have one pointing at this right here, and then you have the other one over here. And where is your swamp? Your swamp is basically right here.
Yep.
So I think it's an anchor. Why else would there be a boulder of that size in there? It had to. I don't know. I'm saying it has to be marking something.
And even if it wasn't placed there and it was just found there, it's still something that they used as an anchor point.
Exactly. Yeah, could very well be. And they could. You're right. It could have been. I mean, a boulder that size is going to be able to
push
use
stuff around.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be able to pull a lot of treasure off the boat with that boulder.
So that puts it in lot 32, right down in the bottom corner of lot 32. So, which is the swamp's lot. So, I think it very well could be the anchor. That's my guess. I know I could be wrong. I don't.
I did see someone. I forget who in the chat. They did say, why can't it be both? That's a good point. It could be both. It could be both part of the cross and an anchor.
Yep. And I go back to the whole thing with that Nolan's cross. That thing has to mean something. It has to mean something. Nobody's going to go through all that effort. I've said it before, but nobody's going to go through all that effort to move those stones into that perfect alignment like that just for the fun of it. To say, hey, look what we just made. It has to mean something, and I think it has a meaning for it. If they could figure out the meaning, and there's been a lot of people have tried to figure out the meaning of it to point to where the treasure is on the island, but they're not going to put it there just for fun.
No.
I don't know. What do you think, guys? Final thoughts on the episode?
Another good one. They're starting to ramp up.
They're starting to ramp up. I think we're going to get, 12 or 11 or 12 more good ones, I think, taking us through the rest of
I think it only gets even more intriguing from here on out.
Yep, I think so. What do you think, Seth? You ready for more?
I am. I didn't think that we were going to get this much access to this part of the swamp. I knew they were going to go in the swamp. I didn't know they were going to be able to go under the road and be in this corner of it. So I'm so pleased they've got that. Lot 5, mind blown. Didn't get that in this episode, but we got to talk to Jamie today. So
I know,
awesome highlight.
Awesome.
And
that was awesome.
Thank you guys for a great conversation. I kind of, I was a little like, well, what does this wood mean? Should I be as excited about this wood? But no, I think it's like, Tom, you made a great point during our conversation tonight where you said they finally hit something that was where it was supposed to be, and that was a big part. So it's getting to see those smiles. Anytime you see Marty smiling like that, and it's going to be a good show. So I'm excited. It was good vibes. Good, does it, knock on wood, seems like the obstructions are behind them, and relatively smooth sailing moving forward. Hopefully.
Relatively smooth sailing.
We shall see. It is Oak Island.
That's true. Yeah. I really liked Jamie's theory of anytime you speak of the treasure, it moves. So
yeah, I know, right?
If that's true, well, we're never going to find it because we just can't stop talking about it.
Yeah, all smiles around these guys, that's for sure. And I think I didn't get to watch the show Tuesday night. I didn't get to watch it until today. But man, I'm glad I did because I was out and had some things I had to do. But you guys are going to want to be here on the 15th, and I did talk about also that I was going to be able to go and meet up with Corian Mole and Christopher Morford when they were in Virginia, but things have changed for me. I have to. I'm going to be attending a service that is in San Diego, so I have to, and it happens to be right at that same time. So I will not be able to do that. I reached out to Corian and Christopher and apologized to both of them that I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm hoping that somewhere during their book tour, and they're the ones that have done the book. They've written the book. It's coming out on the 13th of February. It's called The Jerusalem Files, and talks about the menorah and its travels and where they think it is now. And you're going to want to get this book. I can't wait for this book to come out. They're doing a little book tour. Like I said, they're starting on the 12th. Go to the JerusalemFiles.com to get more information about that. Or you can watch the podcast that I did with them. I had a little, it was a recorded one. I had actually recorded each of them for about 45 minutes each. And then I had to narrow that down to about 25 minutes. But I have the whole thing out. We'll watch the whole thing at some point. I'll get the whole edited version of both of them out there. But
watch the podcast, folks. If you were having second thoughts about buying that book, they'll be gone by the time you finish watching them.
I was just about to say the same thing, Tom. I watched that interview and I was like, "Ooh, I'm pre-ordering this book now," because just that little bit they get into, for me, the little thing about the Pentagon, and I was like, "Oh, I know." So let me know what else you guys have discovered, because.
And Roosevelt, you talk about Roosevelt, Roosevelt having some interesting stuff there. He involvement in Oak Island and the search for treasure on Oak Island. And then you start to find out, there's much more to that family than you ever knew. And it's
these
all
people were,
going to be in their book.
They were connected 500 years ago, and they were connected 400 years ago, 300 years ago, 200 years ago. The secrets were passed down.
Yep. Yep. It's going to be a good book. Cannot wait for it. Linda sent us a message here. What does it say? Are you putting out separate? Yes, I probably will. Linda asked if I was putting out the separate interviews around the 13th. Yes, I am going to. And then that was all put together, and I'll get those out so that everybody can watch them. I had them out for the patrons so they can see them and watch them. So if you want to watch them now, you can become a patron on the patreon.com for JFree906, and you can watch them now because they're available for everyone there. So, all right, that's it for me, Tom and Seth.
I'm good.
Linda
Thanks.
and Jan, thank you guys so much for all the work you do. Thank you all for joining
Jan,
us.
thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for the synopsis once again. And we'll catch you next time right here on the J Free 906 podcast. Good night, everyone.